Well, I was always aware my father fought in the war because the wounds on his body were always visible, and he had his Spanish Republican Army cap too, which I used to play with, playing soldiers in fact. But other than that, it would have been only a gradual awareness of other people who had been in Spain with him, like Hughie Hunter from Belfast and Frank Edwards and Peter O'Connor from Waterford, Bob Doyle and Donny O'Reilly from Dublin. So it was almost a process of osmosis. And then when we were discussing crossing the Ebro, he mentioned the battalion commander Sam Wilde handing an Irish volunteer the flag of Catalonia, saying it's important that the Irish and Catalan national questions are recognised. And I said, who was the Irish volunteer? Oh, it was me, but you wouldn't know it from the book. So it's only subsequent. So he actually played down his own personal role in the book. It was a narrative that was extolling those who gave their lives in the first place and had the courage to volunteer in a broader sense, but certainly not himself. In memory of that, I'll sing Si me quieres escribir. Si me quieres escribir, ya sabes mi paradero. Si me quieres escribir, ya sabes mi paradero en el frente de Gandes, primera leña de fuego.
May I commend you, therefore, for the work you do in keeping alive the memory and the values of all those who bravely fought for freedom everywhere, as they put it, on the battlefields of Spain almost 80 years ago. Viva la Quinta Brigada!
In this atmosphere of spiralling towards greater international conflict, it is wise to remember what the International Brigade stood for. They were called premature anti-fascists precisely because they sought to prevent the Second World War by tackling the fascist assault on an elected democratic government. But in thanking you for your address to us today, here is a commemorative plate of the International Brigade Memorial Trust. And I'm sure you've read my father's book many times. Give me one more copy. This is not a banner from the period, the actual memorial banner that formed the dust jacket of my father's book, the 1938 banner. It's now on display in the National Museum of Ireland in Collins Barracks in a section devoted to the war in Spain, about Irish people who fought in different wars abroad. And of course at the funerals of brigadistas who died since that period, that banner has adorned their coffin, and of course it's always carried by myself and other family members of veterans of the Irish International Brigade at commemorations in Ireland and Spain and in Britain. Anywhere where there's an International Brigade commemoration, we always remember the Irish International Brigaders with this particular banner. And I remember in Madrid in 1990, that same weekend in 1994, there was a demonstration against the United States embargo against Cuba. And I told my father and the brigadistas to wait by the Puerta del Sol, and when we marched down, they could join us, and at that point I would unfurl the Connolly Column banner, and when I unfurled it and the Brigadistas joined us, everybody started crying, the Spaniards, because I believe that must have been the very first occasion on any public demonstration where it was thought possible to show the Spanish Republican colours. Now you see them everywhere, Podemos demonstrations or whatever, but 22 years ago it was still a dicey atmosphere to proclaim the Republican flag. And
as my father was captured on the Aragon front outside of Gandesa during the retreats and spent 17 months in the fascist concentration camp in Burgos. Let us all continue to struggle together for all of their ideals and sacrifices for a more just and a better world. Salute Republica.
Amaya, Rory, Caleb and Eli will lay a wreath in memory of their great-grandfather, Michael O'Riordan, and his fellow brigadistas of the Connolly Column.
Manus has kindly offered to give us a song. I'll hold your banner for you, brother.
Yeah. Because it was written by James Connolly for the Edinburgh Socialists, but it became a marching song of the British battalion at the Battle of the Ebro. And when we crossed the Pyrenees back in 2006, and I sang Connolly's Rebel song, the loudest voices joining in were Jack Jones and Jack Edwards, because that was their marching anthem. So James Connolly's Rebel song. Strikes hard to banish tyranny from off the face of earth. Then we'll sing a rebel song as we proudly march along to end the age-old tyranny that makes for human tears. And our march is nearer done with each setting of the sun, and the tyrant's might is passing with the passing of the years. No pasaran.
No pasaran.
So I sang this song when we put my father's ashes in the Irish Sea, but I will sing it here today in Catalonia, in los tres lenguas, in the three languages. Si mi boat muriera en tierra de un blanco bajel de guerra, oh mi boat condecorada con la insignia marin, with an anchor from the heart, that anchor reaching for a star, and from that star the wind will rise, with wind to sail my undying voice. Thank you.
Bravo.
The minstrel fell, but the foeman's chains could not bring that fine soul under. The harp he loved ne'er spoke again, for it tore its strings asunder, and said, no chains shall sully thee, thou soul of love and bravery. Thy songs were made for the pure and free.